Okay, and now this is one of my favorites, and this one actually shows up as it well should over in Flying Colors, I believe. This, yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. Flying Colors doesn't handle much in the War of 1812 because most of it's ship to ship, but this is perhaps the most important battle of all, land or naval, in the War of 1812. This is for the control of Lake Erie, and really, this is what dominates in terms of deciding the campaign largely, where the Brits were unable to maintain supply lines around the lakes and couldn't really push forward into the west. So what you've got is Oliver Hazard Perry, who's flying Stephen Decatur's last words as his flag, right? From the "Don't Give Up the Ship." Oh, I'm sorry, no, Lawrence, Stephen Lawrence, or James Lawrence. Stephen Decatur. What the hell was he in charge of the president? I don't remember. Do we have him in here? No. I don't think so. Guess not. Yeah, I think he was in charge of the president. Okay, anyway. James Lawrence's last words. The "Don't Give Up the Ship" is on the flag of Hazard's flagship. I don't remember what his flagship is. Is it the Lawrence, or yeah, that would make sense. Or is it the Niagara? The Lawrence. Oh, that's why. He shifts his flag from the Lawrence to the Niagara. Yeah, and the painting from my old history book has Perry in a long boat shifting between the two ships. You know, obviously these aren't painted at the time of the battle, but from a description of the battle or whatever, the artist makes it. So you've got this line of Brits and a large line of American ships. And in all cases, these are fairly small ships. You can see 6s and 7s where the rates are. And really the U.S. is the same. Nothing huge here. Gunnery factors, kind of moderate sized. You have some carronade armed ships on both sides. Good sailing quality. The wind is favoring the U.S. to begin with, though. All right, well, that's tomorrow's task. Not tonight. We're done for tonight. Okay, there's some very weird things once you get to these bigger battles. For one thing, there aren't enough counters, say A aheads, to fill all the ships on this one. That's just a peculiarity, unless maybe I lost one, but I don't think that's the case. There are actually 2 ships that don't have an A ahead. The lead British ship has a port counter, and the tail, and that's, I'm actually turning there. That makes sense. And the tail American ship is using a B counter as a temporary placeholder. Another issue here is these are time limited. So the other scenarios could have gone on forever. But these 2 big ones, for whatever reason, have a, 12 game turn length and 16 game turn length. Which means there's no time for ships to blow up or stuff like that for the most part. I mean, there's one phase that's of interest for that in this one and 2 in the next battle. That allows you to, have a reasonable limit to this length of the game. I'm not sure what it's supposed to represent exactly and why, these couple hour battles, duels between a couple of ships are acceptable, but something like this is going to be forced to break off. But it may have something to do with a historical type feeling, which is the players will keep fighting it out no matter what, unreasonably. The problem with that is it means that you don't have to just hold the field anymore. Now, it's possible that you could wipe the other side out, but if you don't, it means that the ships that you've actually captured that have struck, you get points for, and the ships that you have left behind as kind of floating hulks, the enemy gets to keep and you don't get anything for. Alright, anyway, nothing too exciting here. The Americans had the wind gauge, but because it's a big fleet and the optional rule is certainly in effect here, the Americans actually have to move first. Nothing too exciting here. As you can see, we're just not going to get very close at this point. I'm not going to even calculate these firepowers at this range. Okay. But now we're on the Brits, and we've got a 4 here. And the rest of these are all going ahead. If you saw one of the earlier battles, yeah, I mean, 2, 4, 6, 9 divided by 4, that's minus 20 initial fire. You know, even with a, there's not going to be a first fire bonus there. So we're talking about like a 25. That's kind of neat if you're doing rigging fire. And rigging fire, I like rigging fire in ship-on-ship contact because it wins you the battle. In this, I'm not so sure it really does. So, let's move on to the remainder of the movement points. Now here we're starting to get within range where maybe there's some value. Let's see. 2, 4, 6. That's minus 10. I'm worried because he's going to cross my T, essentially, on this next one. So, yeah, I'm going to open up with British ships are better crewed, it looks like, than the American ships. Oh, I'm going to hold my fire. I'm more likely to get something cool the closer I get. Nothing too exciting happening then. Plus, it keeps me from having to start writing down the names of all these ships. I'm not going to do them all at once, but they're all going to have to be down, so maybe I should. Okay, now we go to the Brits. And we're going to have to face the corner because we can't go right into the wind. And now that's a rake. And that's going to be hard not to do. 2, 4, 7, that's minus 10. Bow rake cancels that out. I don't have a very big shot there. Alright, I'm going to come back because I got to write all the names. Okay, so we opened up with the port broadside off the Chippeway. It doesn't have high gunfire. 32. Range cancels that out 1 because it's, what, 2, 4, 7. And 10. And the bow takes 1 off, or adds 1 to it, so those cancel out. I'm going to go with rigging fire because I'm not within 6, right? I don't get my first broadside here. Yeah, I'm going to go with the rigging fire, see what we get. It's a 32. This is a light ship. I'm just really kind of doing some chasing fire here. At this range, only rigging fire makes sense. Ooh, and I get a nice one. Alright, so first of all, 1 hit on the Scorpion. And a critical. And the critical is a wheel. Now the Scorpion with its 6 crew is not, oh, I forgot to compare rates, good thing they're the same, is not going to have any trouble with the wheel yet. They've got enough people to try to steer it using the sails. Alright, I'll flip that over just to remind me, but it doesn't really matter. He can't move again, so why bother? All right, how about the Detroit? Now, I could do the same kind of thing here. And I've got rakes again, but 2, 4, 6, 9. There I'm looking at a minus 20. I don't like to play that game. 2, 4, 6, 8. Again, minus 20. I'm getting just too far away to make it worth firing at this point. And that puts us to turn 2. And the Americans are just pushing down ahead. The Brits actually changed their mind. They're letting this poor guy sail off ahead, but he's beating really, while the rest are going ahead straight, not following his lead completely, i.e. not going to his turn point. This is kind of a weird thing and probably isn't a good idea, because when you got two lines of battle, the best thing is just to stream past each other and kind of fire into each other. Well, no real reason to do anything too complicated here. You're going to get a bunch of rakes and everything pretty much no matter what you do, so why spend a lot of effort at it? All right, well, let's see. We're going to get closer. Don't shoot until you see the whites of their sails, or something like that. You can see those sails quite a ways away, Captain. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be videoing this part. Okay, well now the Brits, very, very easy. We're going to unload. Now, are we going to unload on the rigging, or are we going to unload into the hull? And that's the problem here. This only takes 3 hits to go, to become dead in the water. That's why doing rigging shots at it was kind of a dumb idea. I'm gonna start opening up on the hull because I didn't get a mast critical on that. So I got a 32, and then I'm gonna add that to a 42 because I got the rake. Think about this, it would be a 62 if I had held fire. Of course, I got a hit on the riggings and a wheel critical, so it's not too bad. Except that I miss. I don't need to flip him, do I? Well, we got a potential boarding there. 2, holding fire. We'll just get closer. Oh, something I thought of, if you've got turns pre-plotted, it's probably a good policy to keep the counter, say, at the back of the ship before you satisfy your turn requirement. You can still make more turns, but you do have to satisfy it, especially in these big ship combats. It's hard to remember which ship turned, which ship didn't, if they've got all kind of different orders. Okay, now, what does the U.S. want to do? I'm not going to get a rake off this. So we'll take him straight on like that. Now I've got an ahead counter, so I can't turn. I made a turn that I didn't. I could have slammed into him, but my gunnery's better and his crew's better, so I don't want to melee him. If he gets an option, he will. So here I'm at 41. This is the Scorpion firing starboard. First fire, close range, puts me at 61, into the hull, no question. That's 2 hits on the chip away. And it's a lot worse off at this point. Do I want to fire at this range? It's a 53. You know what? I think I do. I think the reason, even though it's not optimal, chewing up their ships reduces their own gunfire. They're going to be able to be shooting at me with rakes. I want to make sure that I hurt them a little bit before they do that. So that's the aerial starboard broadside. 43 minus 10, 33. First fire cancels that back out, 43. That's all we got. And we are shooting the hull, of course. Bang! Hit it directly. The Detroit takes a hit. Not enough to do me any good. Oh, this is off. But that's okay. This guy. Oh, this is our only chance to shoot. This will not be a rake. Ah! No, I missed. The rates. The Detroit's a bigger ship than the Ariel. Whoops. And I noticed that because the Lawrence is a bigger ship than the Hunter. Jesus. Carronades. Are they included in my firing here? No, of course not. So I still have to look that up. I think that's 10 at this range, but I don't remember. No, it's got to be three or less. Okay. So the Lawrence is going to fire on the little Hunter here. That's 45 minus 10. First fire, starboard on the Lawrence. We get 10 extra from the rate difference, puts us at 55. Into the hull. Okay, that time we got 2 hits on the Hunter. And the rest will just... These I think are Bs. And now the Brits get to move. And we have rakes left and right. The Detroit. I can rake the Ariel there. I'm at minus 10 for distance, plus 10 for first broadside. That cancels out. I've got a bow rake, puts me up to a 55. I'm gonna start chewing this up, make it a 65 because of rate difference. That's a hit on the Ariel. This is no rake. So I'm going to keep shooting at the Ariel here. Try to penalize it. 3, 6, that's minus 10. First broadside from the Hunter. Cancels that out, so we've got a 42 because we're the same rate. And we miss. And the rest of the ships are not going to fire as we push to turn 3. And there's only, what, 12 of these suckers. Alright. Okay, so we have the English trying not to lose the wind here. They're going to take starboard turns, at least with the lead elements of their fleet. And in fact, this guy who got kind of distracted in direction is going to also be taking a starboard turn. Everybody else is going forward. Wind gauge is still going to be American. It doesn't matter too much in this system with the optional rule in play because the speeds of the ships are different, so the fast guys have to go first, and that is not this ship. That's only a 4, but that's this line, and they're gonna have to just move. Now these guys are going ahead. Now here's the question: Do you fire now, or do you wait until you get the rake that you're almost guaranteed to get? Hard call. Because am I guaranteed? He moves and turns, and I no longer have that rake. He moves and turns. So I'm going to open fire now with the aerial. That's a starboard. He's already fired that. 43, and we're just going to pound into whatever it is we're shooting there. Well, or not. Okay. Same here. Do I get a guarantee? Oh. Yeah, what we were shooting was even bigger than us. That was a 33. Do I get an even better shot later? Again, maybe. This is not a range 1 shot. So oh yeah, yes it is. Yeah, let's do it, because we're gonna probably be aligned there, so we'll take this shot. We are the bigger ship this time. We have carronades. So this is who? The Lawrence has already fired. It's a 45 plus 10 for carronades, and plus 10 for size, so it goes up to a 65. And that is a hit on the Hunter. Oh, the Hunter has just struck colors. We'll give it a little white flag. And that's going to cause some problems for the Brits there. Okay. And we fired our guns. Fired our guns in the British cap. And now we just move a little closer. Nothing too exciting to these. They'll get in the battle eventually, maybe. Now we're on the Brits. And here's where things get kind of weird. This guy goes last. I've got a starboard turn on this. But I'll tell you, I don't want to make that yet. Because right now the Detroit, firing out its port, has a rake on the aerial. And it is bigger than the aerial. So, let's see, 45, 55, 65 it sounds like to me. That's a hit on the aerial, damaging its fire ability. And now we got some problems coming ahead here, because somebody damaged our line, and this is kind of the problem. Your line gets disordered if you start getting shot up. And now we go back to the US, right? Oh, what's this guy doing here? Oh my. Looks like he's got a shot. Okay, Scorpion. Starboard bow, he's got a shot off that. This is 41, it's a bow rake. So that puts me to 51. What about sizes? I gotta worry about them here. 51. Not quite 40 points. So the Chippeway takes its third hit. It strikes. It's only a 7 as well. This is going pretty well for the Americans, I'd say. Alright, now we're on the Speed 3ers, which is these suckers. Now, I don't want to foul, because the Brits have better crews than I do. The Detroit's a bigger ship, so I'm going to turn and take my move. Now I don't want to foul myself, so I turn and take my move, And you can see these formations are getting really broken up here. I could make a shot here. If I don't, I'm going to get bow raked. So that's the Niagara. We'll fire its starboard gun off of it. 2-4. First fire counters that. Size is the same, so it looks to me like we're just a 45. We're trying to hit the Queen Charlotte. We're just going to pound it up at this point because beating up the British ship seems like the best move. And we miss. Now this is a lot easier than flying colors. Now, I could see you saying, well, yeah, but it's not very interesting. Perhaps. Okay, so Queen Charlotte's allowed to avoid the foul, but if it does, it can't move. So I was lying about that rake, wasn't I? Oops. I thought I was going to get one, but I didn't. And that puts us on our last ship, which has a starboard turn. Oh, he doesn't go yet. Let's make the Brits go first. They have a starboard turn. And he has a starboard turn. And that is it for this morning. As I know my little alarm is going to go off in a minute. If it isn't already and I can't hear it because of the damn trucks. That's happened at least once. Alright, so we see two British ships have struck. And that puts them down to just 4. Of course, they're the smaller ships. They still got their 2 heaviest ships, but you know, that immediately starts to play some difficulty on their position here. Okay, so the choices are made, and things are starting to get kind of scrambled here with, you know, like one British ship going ahead this way, one taking a starboard turn, the other one pulling ahead. That's kind of forming in a line, but this guy curving around this way. These guys both turning that way. A lot of starboard movement, but a lot of aheads. Starboard here, turning on it. I don't know how it's going to all end up. Who's got the wind gauge is the question. The Americans have 4, 5, 6, lots and lots of ships with full movement points. So they're going to be able to get the wind gauge here. But now it's time to choose the ship that's going to be moving at this point. And we're going to force the Brits to move one of their ships first. Or do we want to... We can't grab this one. This one's not going fast enough. It's got to be one of these. So we'll let the Brits choose first. They move here. I'm not going to give up that bow rake by turning. However, if I turn like this, I don't. And that'll be a starboard off the Detroit. That's a first fire at only 6, so I still get the plus 10. Bow rake gives me another plus 10, so I'm plus 20. And I'm a bigger ship, so I'm at plus 30 to my value. That's a 75. And the Detroit hasn't taken any hits. 75. That means I do 2 hits to the Scorpion. Now these aren't rigging hits. These are actual hits, which is important because it has that wheel critical on it, which means now that its crew is down to a 4, next turn it may not be able to commit its orders. It doesn't have enough guys on the sail. Now the US again wants to force the Brits to go. They have this unit. which is kind of the important one in this situation. We're only taking it ahead here, and now here's the problem. This sucker has no bow rake yet, but I'm in danger of facing a bow rake. So I want to get my shot off now while we can, because, well, the Americans will get another chance to move, but they will hold fire till their bow rake if I shoot now, but that's okay. Let's flip this and remember to move him, and he's done his action, so I'm going to move his little chit forward. This guy is just going ahead, so he doesn't have to worry. I am firing a 44 carronade, equal size. That's port side from the Queen Charlotte. It has not fired yet. Alright, that may be a mistake. I may be wrong about that. So I've got plus 30 here. So I'm at 74. We'll see what that does. That's only one hit against the Lawrence. And we fired our guns. Unfortunately, the game doesn't give the scale. Now, there's only 12 turns to this battle. It seems to me that the guns could fire on both sides in the amount of time represented that must be represented by that, but it's not clearly spelled out. But I would think anything that where turns are, 10 minutes or more, you could probably get both sides of guns firing, but then that may slow down your ability to reload. And that's a level of complexity this game doesn't want to take into account. Okay, so now we have to move the US ships. And this one has no choice but to just slide ahead. This one has a starboard movement. Now the problem here is, so I can move here, start my starboard turn, and that'll give me options to move into either of these hexes, or squares, because I've chosen to put myself in a position where I'm going to foul. This is the weird thing about this game, is you want to line yourself up to foul because it gives you the most possible options of how to sail. It's a kind of wanky factor about the game, I have to say. Do I want to fire here? Well, the Brits are going to move here, and I'll probably be moving into there before they get another move, so the answer is no. I'll get closer. And all these ships going ahead are closing in on the British line. Speaking of which, now we're on 4-point ships. Now this guy has already taken his turn. So I want to keep the wind the way it is. So I'm going to keep moving in that direction. Ah, damn it. I'm always throwing my chits in the wrong place. This one's also a 3. Oh, I just cheated there. Come back. I've got some 4s here that have to move, and back here. So who do I want moving? I want the Brits to move first. Starboard turn here. I don't want to have to make it, so I will take that foul advantage. You see how annoying that is. Of course, one problem with it is if I make the turn here, I still have to make a starboard turn. I haven't committed my turn yet, but that's okay. Now we're on the Americans, and now here's what's interesting with this little ship. I'm gonna keep my movement in place with both of these, and I'm not gonna fire because I'm gonna perhaps get to cross the T on that. I don't think I actually will, but I'll be at range 1. I think I'll have this guy surrounded. Now we're on the 3 movements, And well, we've got one Brit here. Let's force the Brits to move with their two ships. See what they do first. That's an ahead, so that's not going anywhere fancy. And this guy's got a starboard, but like I said, I don't want to turn him. I want to keep my speed up. I can always turn in later as I get close. So now it's on the Americans again. This is an ahead, no option there. All right. So this would put me in an ugly position with an ahead movement. I've got this guy first. I could move him. He's got a starboard turn in play. He can only go 45 degrees, so if I go in here, I'll be fouling this, and I am under, I have less gun, or less capability to do melee there. So I'm going to avoid this, take the 3, and then I have to take my starboard turn, and I'm going to take that in such a way as to keep my speed up. This ahead, I get to fire. That's a 41 gun. Simple range off the Summers. Starboard. Damn it. This is going to be first fire, no rake. So that at that range, it puts me up to a 61. The sizes are the same. And we get a hit on the Lord Prevost. And it's a critical. And you know, I mean, I'm doing everything because I don't think these videos have any interest if I don't take every single action. There's just no... Okay, so that's going to be a massed critical on the Prevost. Remember, that's going to affect his movement. And now maybe I want to fire... Oh, geez. That must have been his 3 move. So I get to take that away. I may want to start firing at his rigging to knock him dead in the water. Alright. Oh, I didn't do this guy. We'll just move him forward. And we don't really want to make that starboard turn until we hit this space. Okay, and these aheads. Do I want to fire here? That's the Porcupine. Equal size. I'd be taking a -10, but this is first fire. What am I shooting at if I do? It's at the belt. The belt's taking no damage. This would be my starboard gun. I'm going to do it just because I want to chew those Brits up a little bit more. So 35. This should be at even range and first fire. I get a hit on the belt. And there's always the, sorry about that, the chance of, you know, getting your critical in there. Obviously, these guys are not firing. Okay, so now we're back on the 2s. Who wants to go first? The Brits or the Americans? It's up to the Americans to make this choice. I would rather not give the Brits the first move because we're going to see some close action here that I don't want to see firing. Of course, we've got a rake coming in on the Niagara, I think, no matter how we cut this. Oh no, because he can only do a 45 degree and he'll stall there. So that will not be the case. Cool. Okay. So, hey, let me check. What I'm curious about is over here, if I do the turn to avoid fouling, I can't move into here. And I've done this before. What I've done is just said, well, the ship can't move. The rules actually aren't clear on this matter at all. They don't specify what happens. They make it sound like, well, you make your turn and you make your move. Well, he doesn't have the movement points to make the move. So does he stay where he is, or is he disallowed from making the turn to avoid the fouling? It seems to me that avoiding fouling is a major part of the design here. So I say he stays. And that's what I've been playing it as. So, speaking of which, we have a smaller crew here on the Lawrence. What I want to do is I'm going to move the aerial forward. This is starboard guns on the aerial. Have those fired? Yes. I'm at minus 10 for the size differential. We have a 6 and a 7. I'm at minus 10 for damage. So I'm at like a 23 here on the aerial. That's not very good. Oh, I hope that wasn't a head I just threw in there. 23 on the aerial, and that's about all I've got. And we'll see if we can do it. Not quite. Queen Charlotte hasn't taken any damage. Now, to avoid fouling, I'm allowed to turn, shift, but now a starboard turn is again to the right. I may not want to do that. I may want to just fire those carronades right in, even though I'm going to be at a slight disadvantage. Have I taken any damage with the Lawrence? Yes, I have, so my crew's even smaller. Alright. I could foul with the aerial. Yeah, then I can't fire. Alright, in we go. We'll foul. Basically, being here, I wouldn't get my shot off. I've screwed up my positioning. But now I've kind of dulled where the Brits can go. Had I told them to move first, I would have been able to get a shot off. But I screwed up. Okay, well, let's move, turn, and we have not a shot on this, but if we turn this way, we do. That's the Scorpion port guns. It's first fire for the port, that's plus 10. Cancels out the distance. There's a plus 20 for the aft rake. Ooh, I think it's... yeah, plus 20 for the aft rake. That puts me up to 61, but my size is worse, so make it 51, and we'll shoot the Detroit some more. Not quite. Alright, now the Brits get to move. And we'll take our easy move. Quick drift. I haven't used my starboard turn yet. That's kind of a problem. I can still turn like this. And now I get to fire at whoever this is, the Niagara. That's a bow rake off my port side for the Lord Prevost. First fire. That's plus 20 for the range, because of the range, right? Yeah, plus 20. So plus 20, plus 30 for the bow rake. Subtract down to plus 20 because of the size difference. But back up to plus 30 because of the carronades. So I'm at 72 against the Niagara. That's 40-point difference, 2 hits on the Niagara. And over here all we have is a head move. And I could open up from the belt. That's range 2-4. First fire from the port. That cancels that out. I got a 35 coming in on the Porcupine. 3-6. That's even better. I can fire at the Tigress instead and get a bow rake. And I think that'll give me a plus 10, putting me up to 45. Yet I miss. Alright, now Lawrence gets to fire. It's not getting any kind of rake because it's in the same space as its enemy. but it's very close, so no penalty for range. 45, carronades give it a plus 10. 55, Lawrence hasn't taken much hit. I believe I'm allowed to pick either side gun, so I'll take my port guns for this. 55, that puts me to 75. I gotta go for hull because I'm doing a boarding combat very shortly. 75, that's only one hit on the Queen Charlotte. Well, that kind of sucks. Now we do the melee, which is going to be, let's try to remember these. I don't ever remember my melee rules, right? It's like crew quality minus rate. So he is a 6 minus 6 is 0. The Queen Charlotte is a 7 minus 6 is plus 1. So the Brits have a plus 1 on this fight. They roll a 3. The US rolls more than 50% higher than that. So the Queen Charlotte has just been captured. And that means I get to try to unfoul it. I think that's on a 1 through 3. We'll take the Lawrence first, and it gets out of there. And where do I want to put it? Under what facing? This looks good. And who cares about the Queen Charlotte, to tell you the truth? That puts us on to turn 5, and we've taken 3 of the British ships so far. And that was a lucky move by the American. I mean, they couldn't count on winning that one, right? All right, what a mess. So, again, the Americans are going to have the wind gauge. They have a lot of ships moving at 6. Basically, they have a lot of ships. But the Brits have 2 of their 3 ships are actually not going full speed. I do have a check on the wheel on this guy. He's taken enough hits now that he has to check. I don't know if I've remembered everything. He's fine. And I noticed there was a mast hit on the Lord Provost. I don't know if I was paying attention to that. So, the US has the first choice. And do I want to make this move? That's an interesting question. I think the answer is yes. Mainly because I'm going to be making a port turn with this. So I can maybe align it. I don't know. It doesn't really make much difference because all the speed is over here. It is on the US side. So if I let the Brits move here, they're going to get a shot at this, which they're going to get anyway. So I'll force them to go, see what the situation is. And they're just making it a head move. And the Detroit will open up on the Ariel. Okay, so that's a 45. Does the Detroit have any hits on it? No. 45, no rake. Do I want to make this shot? Yeah, I'm not going to get a rake that way either, but I can at least force. Yeah, but I don't want to give them a shot. Okay, 45. Nothing going in favor, nothing going against, basically. So we'll just see if we can pound the hull. Actually, I'm a bigger ship. Ooh. I get a hit on the Ariel. But importantly, I get a critical on it. Yeah, let's see what we get. A 1 is a wheel. Now that has an immediate effect, doesn't it? Or did I screw up? Yeah, it's immediately removed. I screwed up last time I did that, but that hits the Ariel, and now it'll drift, which I need a 3 or higher for something bad to happen. 1 or 2 I'm going to go that direction, or 3 or 4 that direction, 5 or 6 that direction. I don't want to look it up. 6, so it shifts like this. And we took our shot. Okay, and we've taken away its gunfire. That's cool. Now the US has to move its speeders. That's 3 moves. do I want this? 2, 4, 6, that's a -1 or -10. I'm going to take this shot here with the Lawrence. It's got no penalties on it. Got -10, but I got +10 for size. And no carronades at this range. And I've completed my turn. So I'm a 45. It's kind of a shame to use the carronades at that range, but I don't think I'm going to get a better shot in than this. That's a hit on the Lord Provost, which is now reduced. I got to keep an eye out on some of these. Ariel just took its 3rd hit at strikes. Hey, first American ship to go. All right. Move this sucker. He's not going to take his turn yet. Ruh-roh. I gotta move here. I get a starboard turn if I want it. So I get an automatic turn, or I can hit the Prevost with a bigger ship, the Niagara, and kind of pin it in place. I don't think I'm going to get any more shots on the Prevost. The Niagara's in pretty good shape comparatively, but I got a mast hit on the Prevost. I don't want to fight it close up. So I'm going to take my free turn to get out of its way. Shift in. And turn like this. That's my starboard turn. Now I can make more starboard turns if I like. But the advantage to this is, actually, I'm just going to turn like this because I count on him getting into this hex, or square, so that I'll be able to do a shift. He really has no way out of that. This is a starboard. Let's go all the way to here because I think I'm going to get a good shot lined up that way. I'm going to take this shot. That's the Porcupine. Alright, Porcupine, starboard fire, already shot. So that I'm a 35 there, straight up. Same size. And I get a hit and a critical. That's on the belt. That's the second hit for the belt. Let's see what that critical is. That critical is a mast. And a mast critical doesn't have an immediate effect. It's just its movement allowance goes down, and we'll flip that sucker for his move. And a head here. Obviously I can't shoot. And now we're on the 4-pointers. Force the Brits to go. They don't have a lot of ships left. I want to open fire with the belt against the Porcupine here. That's not going to be a rake. And I might get lucky if I turn like this anyhow. This was a 4-pointer. I just moved 2 of it. Oh. Yeah, I think I'm going to get a move. A better move if I do this. But I get a shot on that Porcupine, which I won't get otherwise. So I've got a 35 port gun from the belt. Already fired. Sounds like it's 25 because of damage. And that will not hit. Ships are getting kind of torn up here. So they're not really able to shoot as well as they'd like to. Yeah, well here I've got a nice shot from the Prevost. I don't want to turn, not yet, but we've got a 42 carronade going into the Niagara. The Prevost is down to 32, carronade brings us back up to 42. Bow rake brings us to a 52. And that's port. That already fired that. Yeah, that's not going to help. Okay. So now the American ships get to go again, because we got 4s floating around up here. And these little counters start to, this is the one negative. I think these counters are a great solution to the plotted movement type idea. They remove some of the thinking aspects that you get in flying colors, where you have just too many options, too many choices, but they do become kind of hard to read in these big ship combats. And you know, there's always trade-offs in these things. Okay, so the Niagara here has a starboard turn. Well, I don't have to ram into the Prevost here. I have two options though. I can either bring myself in for a rake, and then I won't get the rake here, or I can close with the Prevost and try to pound it. Well, here's the problem. If I close with the Prevost, this guy, then, well, he can shoot the belt. Yeah, we'll take our closing with the Prevost. We're going to foul it, and I'll get a shot along with him. He won't get one. Okay, so that's a 4. We got a 4 here. I'm going to turn all the way. Oh, I think we're on the 3s now. Well, we want to open up by shooting the Summers. And I've got a starboard turn here that I've got to use, right? I think he had a 3 movement. Alright. I don't remember if I used it or not. The Summers is a 41 gun going in there. This is starboard gun. There we go. Already did that. So we got a bow rake that brings me to 51. It's got no damage. Not quite 40. So the belt takes another hit, and the belt just struck. And that takes away my, I was kind of planning on boarding it if need be. Or shooting it some more here, which isn't going to happen. As we push in further. What about this guy? Well, I can avoid fouling. Unfortunately, all I have is a head move, so that's all I can do there. And let's see. Wow, we're on 3s now. I really ought to make those Brits move, right? Well, maybe not. I got a move here I want to make. Okay, the Caledonia is going to fire. It's a 43. This is starboard. It hasn't fired it yet, so it goes up to 53. But I lose 10. 43. I gain... Wait, first fire, this range is actually plus 20. So 63 makes 53 for the size difference. And then 20 more for an aft rake. So that should be a 73. That is 2 hits on the hull of the Detroit, which does not cause it to surrender. But it's a good solid hit on it. Now I've got the Lawrence, who's got a starboard turn. Now I can't shoot at this. There's not a lot I can shoot at, to tell you the truth, and there's not a lot I can do for movement. So I'm going to just turn like this, be kind of unhappy with how everything all kind of wound up there. I should have moved it first and taken a shot at the Prevost. And now the Brits get the next move here with the Detroit. They're just doing it ahead. They don't have any options. And now the final move is a possible port turn with the Scorpion. Do I want more movement allowance? I don't really need it. I'm going to have wind gauge anyway. One of the things to keep in mind with this that's kind of goofy, but because wind gauge is based on the number of ships that you have of a certain type, sometimes when you have these off guys, well, it might make sense to have made that port turn just to bonus myself to make another turn there. Okay, now we go to the final. This guy's probably flipped over. I think he fired at something. Doesn't matter. Go to the final fire, Niagara. He's going to fire his port guns. Because again, it doesn't matter when you're in the same space. You're assumed to be able to get whatever guns you want into alignment. So that puts me up to 65. Carronade goes to 75, 85 because of size difference. Minus 10, 75 damage. And that is 40 points, so 2 on the Prevost, which probably knocks it out. Sure better. Nothing's that big in this. And we're down to 1 British ship as we move to turn 6. And I think it's pretty much over here. It's just a question of whether or not, well, I honestly think the Detroit's going to try to run for it. Try to save at least one of these ships, because there's no way it can handle this entire squadron. It's a decent sized ship, but it's not in great shape, and well, we'll try to get out of there. Got to disengage the Niagara. It tried, it failed, but I managed to disengage the Prevost, so it's up there. It got to move out, and I got to rearrange the Niagara so it's going to have more sailing ability. It'll perhaps be able to cut in here. It looks really bad for the Detroit getting out of here. So here's our position. The Brits are going to try to get away, as I said. They outrun these. The Niagara, well, it can do a long running battle with them, and we'll see how that goes. This is really the biggest danger to them, and he's wearing, so he could actually flip around and get a shot in. Let's see where we go. Who do we want to force to move first? I think the Americans want to move first in order to get into better range. I don't know if I want to make that turn. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to open fire. No, I'll get a chance to move after this moves. Okay. I don't have to move them all at once, but okay, so now the Brits get to sail in, and we're going to open up on, what is this, the Lawrence here, which is another big ship. I'm at 5 away with, so that's minus 10. Who is this? The Detroit. Minus 20. But I got an aft rake that cancels it out. So we're at a 45. And we get a hit on the Lawrence. That's not enough to cause it any real serious problems. Alright. So now we're on the 4s. 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to fire this. It's at minus 20 due to the range. That puts it down to a 23. Make it a 13 because of the size class. But it's an aft rake, so it goes up to a 33. This is the Caledonio. Firing out the starboard, which is already fired. And we get a hit on the Detroit. One more hit and the Detroit's dead in the water. And we fired that off. And then this battle is over. These guys have a starboard move too. Looks to me like we got another shot there. 3, 6, 9. That's again minus 20. Puts me down to 21. 10 more for class. Puts me down to 11. This is the Scorpion, which has already fired, but it goes down to a 1. Aft rake, 21. Oh. Yeah. So I got that hit, bang, it's over. The Brits have just lost every single ship, and that's pretty impressive, actually. It's hard to get away in this game. So you tend to get, even with these massive battles, you tend to get pretty decisive results. Alright, up this one goes, and geez, I guess I'll set the next one up because I've got one more work day to go, and I don't really want to do a learning game or something I have to learn on a work day.